This special episode is a preview to a new series I'm premiering over on patreon.com/thestorybehind for executive producers at the $5 per month level called Muse. The series follows Pattie Boyd, and if you don't know her name now, you've probably heard a few songs she is said to have inspired, like Something by the Beatles, Wonderful Tonight by Eric Clapton, and most famously, Layla by Eric Clapton when he was part of Derek and the Dominos. Oh, and did I mention that Layla was written as a love song for her while she was married to Eric's best friend, George Harrison? Before we get into the main characters of our story, Pattie and George and Eric and Layla, oh yes, that Helvetica shirt is coming, I wanted to talk first about muses in general, the Greek origin and the word itself. I'm your host, Emily Prokop, and this is the story behind muses. But first, a quick message.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Justin, and we can't believe it's already time for the 2019 Livestream for the Cure.
Thanks to our amazing peers, listeners, and supporters, last year we crushed our goal of $5,000 for the Cancer Research Institute.
The Cancer Research Institute is funding research into immunotherapy to create a future immune to all forms of cancer. Every single cent we raise goes to them.
And they're also rated over 92% on charitynavigator.org.
This year, we're aiming our sights even higher with our most ambitious event to date.
Join us May 17th through the 19th on twitch.tv/epicfilmguys for 40 hours of live content from us and other amazing shows who will join us to try to reach $7,500.
Please visit www.livestreamforthecure for more information or to find out how you can be a part of the event. Together, we can make a difference.
If you're a fan of etymology, you've probably surmised that the words music and museum come from the word muse. Museum actually translates to Temple of the Muses. Muses are the 9 daughters of Zeus and Mnemosyne, the goddess of memory. After sleeping together for 9 nights in a row, 9 daughters were produced, called the Muses. Mnemosyne was the daughter of Uranus, the sky, and Gaia, the earth. She is associated with memory, and depending on the source, she is either a titan or a goddess, or a titan goddess. It might be hard to glean from just hearing the name, but the phrase mnemonic device comes from her name. Zeus was the king of the Greek gods who lived on Mount Olympus. If you've ever seen the distracted boyfriend meme, just know that your fun-loving history podcasters all get a kick out of the replication of this meme using Zeus as the boyfriend, Hera as the rightfully jealous girlfriend, and the phrase, literally anyone else, labeling the object of Zeus's distraction. The Muses were the result of one of Zeus's many trysts. They were regarded as goddesses of arts and sciences, and they were thought to inspire artists based on their special traits associated with each of them. I should mention that these 9 muses and their names were originated by Hesiod, an 8th century BCE poet. Hesiod attributed his own poetry to the Muses, who he said came to him while he was tending his sheep, and gave him a poet's staff and told him to, quote, sing of the race of the blessed gods immortal. From oldest to youngest, the Muses are Calliope, the muse of epic poetry, music, song, dance, and eloquence, Clio, the muse of history, Euterpe, the muse of flute playing and lyric poetry, Terpsichore, the muse of choral dancing and song, Erato, the muse of lyre playing and love poetry, Melpomene, the muse of tragedy, Thalia, the muse of comedy and light verse, Polyhymnia, the muse of hymns and mime, and Urania, the muse of astronomy. And if you're able to follow Greek family trees better than I can, you've probably connected Urania's name to Uranus, the god of the sky, who is also her maternal grandfather. By the way, the pronunciations differ depending on the source. And if you're from the New Orleans area, you may already be familiar with these names, since they are used as street names in the Garden District and Uptown. And again, there are different ways of pronouncing these names, even within New Orleans itself. So, as with many things in history, there are differing accounts of how the Muses came to be. Another version has Zeus as the father, but Harmonia as the mother. Harmonia was the goddess of harmony, as the name suggests. And another version skips Zeus entirely and attributes the Muses as being daughters of Uranus and Gaia. And to go even further, some authors have melded the stories together to create generations of Muses. But Hesiod's version of Muses as the offspring of Zeus and Mnemosyne seem to be the most common. The Muses may sound unfamiliar, but they actually show up quite a bit in popular culture. Each of the Muses are represented by certain symbols, such as Calliope's scroll or book, or Ereto's arrows of love. If you've ever seen the happy and sad masks associated with theater, those are actually symbols associated with the Muses Thalia, the Muse of Comedy, and Melpomene, the Muse of Tragedy. And if you remember the 1997 Disney movie Hercules, 5 of the Muses serve as the movie's Greek chorus: Calliope, Melpomene, Terpsichore, Thalia, and Clio. And of course, if you share my love of the 1980 movie Xanadu, you may know that Olivia Newton-John's character is one of the 9 Muses. In the movie version, she was most likely Terpsichore, even though she never says her full name. She goes by Kira in the movie. However, in the 2007 stage version, it's said that the character is the Muse Clio. If you ever want a great series to binge read, Rick Riordan's Percy Jackson books deal a lot with Greek mythology, including the Muses a bit. Muses are also mentioned in Homer's Iliad and the Odyssey, including Homer himself invoking one particular muse to help him tell the stories, which most scholars believe to be Calliope. Getting back to this particular Muse series, this will be the last we hear of the Greek Muses, and hopefully the last time I have to worry about pronouncing their names. Although because of how big this project has become, I feel like it wouldn't be entirely out of place for me to call upon a few of them to help me tell this story. If there is a muse for podcasting, I would absolutely be calling on her right now. To peel back a curtain a bit, when I started this project, I had a narrative in mind. My very basic understanding of the story was that Pattie Boyd was George Harrison's wife. Some of the songs Harrison wrote and contributed to the Beatles were inspired by Pattie Boyd, like Something. Soon, Eric Clapton found himself in love with her and wrote a song for her that would go down as one of his best. Eric Clapton and George Harrison, by the way, were very close friends. Pattie Boyd went on to marry Eric eventually, and she became known as the muse for both of them, and I love the idea of telling her story. The Muse series will be all about her and her influence on rock and roll, particularly the many songs she is said to have inspired. I hope you'll join me over on Patreon as I tell her story. Visit patreon.com/thestorybehind to sign up for the Muse level at $5 per month, and you'll get exclusive access to this series as it unfolds. Information for this episode was sourced from Allocation, GreekMyths-GreekMythology.com, ThoughtCo, and more links, which can be found in the show notes within the app you're listening to this podcast on, or at thestorybehindpodcast.com. If you're interested in following the Muse series and getting Muse episodes as soon as they are released, please join me over at patreon.com/thestorybehind. Thanks for listening.